like, next thing I know, it was 8:30.
Right.
And I was like, oh, okay. But I mean, I did have my moments where I was just tripping because I was like, she's not here. She's not here.
Yeah.
So
Yesterday was an intense day. It was good. It was good, but it's just intense because when you're in a space where you enjoy, and I'm really very skilled at what I do. I love customer service. So and I'm a resolution specialist. So I love crises. And
right.
so I love putting out those type of fires. And so every time it's like, come on, you need you in leadership, we need you to train. And I'm very resistant to that because I know that this is not I'm a total buy-in person. So when I first started here, my brother was like, oh my God, you have like totally drank the Kool-Aid. I wanted to be a trainer. That was my intention.
Mm-hmm.
And then when that never happened, I went on to pursue other things, got my master's and kept it moving. And so when I'm in leadership roles, I'm always I feel weird because I want to do so much more. I got all these ideas and they're popping off, but it requires time
Mm-hmm.
to be, a proficient leader. It requires time, and I don't want my energy to go in that direction. I want my energy to go in learning how to speak and, not just about insurance and progressive. I want it to be about life. And so now I might need extra time that I have. I try now just trying to learn about what that means to
Yeah.
in front of people and do what I do.
It's interesting because I think some of the best lessons that I have had I've got a couple of friends, of course, that struggle with, um, you know, promotions, I'll say. Like, so say for instance, Alan had been teaching for years, and then they put him in administration, which took him out of what he loved.
Okay.
It took him out of the direct interaction daily with kids, the consistency of seeing them and feeding off of that feedback.
Right.
And so, he got real clear about what he loved about education. And sometimes, people are so busy trying to become principal or trying to become this or, going to the logical, what they think is the next step,
Right.
that they don't really realize that, but my passion comes from. Um, and, the same with another friend of mine's. Like, yeah, you want to, put yourself in a position to make more money. But if that takes you if it puts you into the busy work,
Yeah. The
as
direct
opposed,
care piece.
yeah,
Yeah.
it takes you out of the direct care piece and puts you into, something different, then, are you still really going after what it is that gives you joy?
Right. And that's the
Right.
juggle. Yeah, that's the juggle. But I mean, and I loved it when I was in it. I was like all in. But I've also been in leadership in nonprofit world, which I love more. I don't like the development side, but I do love the maintaining attrition for the volunteers, maintaining the support staff,
Mm-hmm.
training people how to be effective therapists. Like I love that kind of stuff. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah. So anyway, that meeting was good because it just reaffirmed um my niche.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay. Sounds good.
mhm.
Sounds good. So, but I did miss you yesterday.
I missed you
I,
guys too. I
I
did.
had fun. I still was like, oh, Stephanie is not here. So let me just so is So it's just, we just breathe in this space. Right where you are, right where I am, right where each and every one of us is, the fullness of God is. And as we turn our attention to this, we just know that the words, the ideas, everything spoken here are filled with light, love, and wisdom of the highest. We invite in a new awareness, a new perception. Speak to us, dear God, to our hearts, to our minds, and show us how to just be more fully who we are called to be. We bless this moment, we bless this space, and so it is. Amen, amen. So tell me something. Is there anything that you wanted to say about ordination? Because I think I finished that section.
You hammered it on.
I think I finished it out. As a matter of fact, I was like in the last 10 minutes, like, let me get through this portion so I'm not leaving this undone. And we can finish with this part. What is this? Are we in part 2 or?
Yeah, actually, we're going to go into part 2, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, we're going into 2. Yeah.
We're going into 2.
Yeah. So I was like thinking that maybe we could close this part of the book out and then get into the other piece. So, so is there anything that you wanted to say about ordination? Any personal stories? Anything like that? No?
No.
Okay.
I think that this is gonna everything is gonna tie into the moving forward. So anything that needs to come up, it'll come back up.
Yeah. I mean, and that's one of the things that, I guess I could say I love about the book is because while it goes from like, let's just talk about this in general, these spots in general, then it's like, okay, let's drill down on this and really look at what else is, what else there is to learn by identifying, certain blocks.
Exactly.
And so it gives us a new verbiage or a new language. I was in a hardware store yesterday. And I went into the one that you mentioned up on 131st and Harvard.
It's still open?
Yeah, it's still open.
Okay.
Different people working in there now. It's really impressive because they've got some younger Black folks that are working in there. And so, but yes, they are still open and still got all of this stuff. So
wow.
Yeah, I went in there and there was a woman that came in and she had come in earlier and bought some screws because she was, look, because I got all in her business.
Ear hustling.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I started asking questions because she was trying to buy some screws. And she had, the screws were wood screws because she was putting up a fence in her yard. And they sent her to the store to get something, or sent her back with this bag of screws to get something. Now, the screws were Phillip head screws, right? And so she kept pointing at the screw head and asking if you have the other piece for this. And they were like, what other piece? Like, no, that's, and so she started to get so mad because they asked her, do you need a screwdriver? No, I don't need no screwdriver. So she was just, so she just got so mad and so frustrated. And so what I started doing is I started trying to understand what she was asking for. Like, do you know what you need? Like, what are you doing? What is it? And so I'm like asking her all of these questions, but I don't think that she knew what she wanted. I don't think she had the words for what she wanted. She just kept pointing at the top of the screw, talking about.
She from here? from America.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. But you know, if you've never really worked with stuff
I
like
get
that,
it.
sometimes people don't understand the difference between a standard screwdriver or a Phillips screwdriver. They don't know that you need
Or
it.
that you just need that is called a screwdriver. That's what I was saying. I didn't know if
Right.
she knew the word in another language and she
Yeah.
couldn't tell our
He
language. That's
kept
why I was
pointing at the
asking.
top of the screw, asking if he had the piece for this. And I was like, well, the only piece that you could get for a screw is a washer. You know, I was just trying to understand, you know, but it wasn't a washer that you needed because you're putting up a fence. I'm like
Yeah,
thinking,
yeah.
what do you think you need? And so finally, she just threw the bag of screws at the screen, telling at the plexiglass, "Give me my money back! Give me my money!" And I'm thinking like, oh. So I'm over there trying to talk to the sister, and I was like, "Sweetie, I'm just trying to help." Like I wanted to just say, "Okay, let me go back to the house with you," or or let me talk to the person actually doing the work.
Yeah.
Because
Oh,
she didn't, and so she was so, she was so,
frustrated.
yes, girl. It was just like I was just trying to, and and I have a tendency sometimes to get into people's conversations. Somebody else came in with a part, and here I am interjecting in that conversation, like, "Oh, have you tried the plumbing place over on Union?" So yeah, so there is this, yesterday was an interesting but good day. I'm frustrated too because I went to 4 different spots. Nobody had any kale plants. Nobody had any collards. Nobody had any of it. And I'm thinking to myself, what am I going to the wrong spots?
Okay, did you go to Gail's?
No, I didn't go to Gales. I was down in old Brooklyn and over on Shaft and in Park. Maybe that's why. Maybe that's why.
Like now that I say that.
Maybe I need to go to some place, but the places that I used to go and buy my seedlings was always like down on Broadway or in the neighborhood. And so now that I'm looking for particular things, I got other stuff that I needed, but the stuff that I'm looking for now to kind of fill out my bed is I'm not finding. So yeah, I gotta go but maybe I'll go to Gail's. I'll also see if Home Depot has any of those things too. So yeah. So anyway.
Joy.
Huh?
It just said joy. Joy.
Yes. That's what my thing is today. Well, and I gotta take my dog to the to get some shots. So yeah. Good. Everything's good. Life is good.
It is.
Yes. Okay, so today, good morning to you. If yes, good morning. So today we are talking about the level 7th or the 7th chakra, which is the crown chakra. And this is the sacrament of extreme unction and the Sephira
Yes.
of Keter. I don't know. Let's see. Unction. All right, so unction is a noun, the action of anointing someone with oil or an ointment as a religious rite or a symbol of investiture, such as a monarch, a treatment with a medicinal oil or ointment. So extreme unction. Interesting. So Let's see.
Unction.
There we go. Let's see if I could do that with that. I like that. So unction, I was curious as to what unction meant. And when I saw it, I was thinking to myself, let me look this up. And then this next word, the chakra of the spirit,
Sahara.
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 You know what? I'm not exactly. It says that it is the crown chakra, but when you type it in, they come up with all these dresses. So I'm not exactly sure of how that relates, but it's all good. It's all good. So extreme unction, or this crown chakra. So when it talks about these things, when you bring them together, the sacred truth is to live in the present moment. And so it was so, so for me, the idea of living in the present moment, I don't know if that seemed like that was a crown chakra type of thing. For some reason, I was thinking it was going to be something bigger. But living in the
That
present,
is big.
yeah,
Sandra.
living in the present, I guess, is big for a lot of people, especially if you're not doing it, right? And I remember telling people, I had met a nurse one time. It was a male nurse. And every time you talk to him, it was never about what was happening now. It was always about something that happened before, a judgment or a thought, or somebody said, or when he was in, it was always something that wasn't in the present moment.
Mm-hmm.
And so people have problems with that. Yeah. So one of the things that she says in here is that since our spirits are eternal, we are more than our physical bodies, a truth that can comfort us during many closures of life that are a part of the human experience. So one of the things that I always talk about with people is this idea of the present and how powerful it is to stay in the present.
Yes.
I let me think. I remember talking to a guy whose parents stay across the street. So it was somebody that I knew from my younger years, and used to, talk to every once in a while. But one of the things that I've always found interesting about his conversation was always about his heyday. He would, and a lot of people do this. A lot of people will tell you about when they thought that they were at the high point of their lives. And so it is this inability to move in the now moment.
Mm-hmm.
You see people who get stuck in the past, either because of their parents or their siblings, or sometimes it is a death that occurs, and they simply kind of keep referring back to that. Sometimes it is something that was traumatic, or a better job, or when they were married, or something, but they have a really hard time with staying in the present moment for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
And so here, what she is saying is to live in the present moment is something that we have to do by necessity, because it is like when one of the disciples told Jesus that he needed to go bury, I gotta go bury my brother. I don't know. And Jesus said, let the dead bury the dead.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember kind of staying with that idea for a while. Let the dead bury the dead. Life is for the living, right? And all live unto God is what he said. And I thought, oh, so I needed to stay with that. That was one of those moments that I needed to not look away, because I needed to get the juice that I thought was in that particular statement out of that statement. And so what I came to realize was so much on that level was, because all live under God. I was thinking to myself, then what could that possibly mean? What could that mean? Right?
Right.
And so in essence, there is no, that life is eternal. That life is eternal is big. Now,
It's true.
Right, is true. But now what we get stuck on is most people believe that they are just their bodies. And so by the definition or thinking that you are a body, rather than you are a spiritual being, you are a consciousness, that how you define and see yourself is not based on the physicality of you,
right,
but rather what is eternal.
Yes.
And so that becomes something that then informs us on a different level or in a different way, because now we see or we understand that this is kind of like the vehicle that I'm driving right now. I like my vehicle, right? I like this vehicle, but I recognize that at a certain point, just like all the rest of the stuff that I have, at a certain point, I got to lay this one down. And
Right.
I might be going for an upgrade, right? How do you upgrade?
Or it could be, oh my God, it gets better than this.
Right. Yeah. So therein lies part of this issue is that we don't recognize that the spiritual us matures, and as it matures, just like everything else, as it matures, it doesn't necessarily stop here. This is a space and time. It's not eternity.
Yeah.
This particular part is not. The physicality of knowing that you are in a body, that you have ears, that you, all of that stuff is not the eternal truth. So even in that, sometimes what we have to do is we have to have the courage to release what was past. Because if we don't release what was past, what we're doing is, I had an amazing, sometimes I have these amazing like downloads in the midst of my meditation.
Yes.
On a particular day, I was having this meditation and I was trying to wrap my mind around something. And I got the image of me trying to do mouth-to-mouth resuscitation with a skeleton. Now, if you think about that for a minute, a skeleton by definition doesn't have anything that can hold the air or the breath that you put into it.
Right. It needs lungs.
It needs lungs. It needs casing, It
can't even,
it's like
blowing straight through.
Right. And what we see is
oh my goodness, so many things.
Yeah. A lot of times we blow air or we put our energy into something that has no capacity to hold it.
Yes, it's so true.
Right. You know, like if you get the image of, you know how people tell you to breathe into a paper bag,
Mm-hmm.
and a paper bag has the ability to hold the air,
Fan. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you were trying to do that with something that doesn't have the ability to hold the air, it just blows right through. And so you don't want to put your energy into something that doesn't have the capacity to hold it.
Right.
And so when a lot of times what we do is we're doing just that. When we breathe into the past, or when we send our energy into the past, because it doesn't have a structure anymore, it's like you are putting your energy into dead matter that has no ability to ever come back to life or to do anything, because that's past and it's gone.
Right.
So part of this is understanding that the all the power that we have, the only power that we have, is in the now.
Mm-hmm.
We don't even have power in tomorrow.
I know. Mm-hmm.
None in yesterday. None, you can plan for a few hours from now, but really there could be anything that happens that changes the total course in that, of what you are doing, of what's going on. There could be something that changes all of that, and even that can be dissipated or can change in a moment's notice.
And it's interesting because, the statement is depression is obsessing over the past, life gone wrong, gone bad. And then anxiety is being overly concerned about tomorrow. So that's the disease that happens when we are not able to stay
Hmm.
in the now.
Yeah, anxiety is tomorrow
Mm-hmm.
and depression is the path. And so it's interesting because there are some people who cannot seem to figure out how to, as a matter of fact, they feel a level of guilt when they try to let go of the past. Like, okay, so let me say this, because this is my truth, right? I'm always telling you about my truth. Every morning when I do, part of my meditation is me doing my prayer work. And I
Mm-hmm.
pray for, I pray for people. And as I pray for my family, I am still praying for my brother Herm, the one
Mm-hmm.
that passed in October. And every time I utter his name, it's almost like I have this moment of stop. Like, I'm still praying for my brother. I still pray for people that I have had relationships with in the past. They're maybe able to hold it, right? They're able to receive that. But my brother, I struggle with that. I don't carry him around with me all day. I don't sit in that energy all day, but he's still in my prayers because it is so much a part of my prayer work.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so wherever he is, I'm still blessing him. And I want to cry, but I'm still blessing him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, I don't think about my parents on a regular basis. My dad, I got my dad's picture right here behind me. But and I also have and this is gonna sound weird to people, but I also have a picture of my dad in my bedroom, and it's like the first thing that I see when I wake up. But I don't carry him with me necessarily throughout the day.
Mm-hmm.
I don't carry these folks with me throughout the day. But I know some people who don't go anywhere without, you
Gotta
know,
hold. Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
And your
so
brother just, he just transitioned in October.
Right.
So that makes sense. The residual is real. Like our energy is long lasting, and that's the whole grief process. And it's it is that's not that's yeah. It's just October. Like that's not a long time. So yeah, you just gotta let it do what it do, and it'll be just like your parents. It'll be like, I know you just have your awareness, and that'll be enough. But right now, it's just October.
Yeah. So yeah, that becomes, but it is this thing of for me of just kind of recognizing what I do with my energy, what I do with it. And if I'm saying blessings, as if blessings is an energy, or if I'm saying my attention is an energy, what am I investing that attention, that energy into? And so this idea of having scattered energy means that sometimes what we have done is we haven't closed the door on certain things.
Yeah.
And so we still, because it's an open thing, we're still sending energy and power into that thing. And so we still, even though sometimes people won't say the words, after a while you learn but they're still sending their energy and their attention there. What this powerful lesson of staying in the now, I think, is something that we all can learn. Our body's apparent relation to chronological time is only an illusion, one that our spirits are tasked with revealing. It is unnatural to our divine design to let our thoughts live too long in the past. Such an imbalance creates time warps that interfere with our ability to live in the present and to receive spiritual guidance each day, or to receive spiritual guidance in the now moment. And so that's one of the reasons why when things pop into my mind, I try to pay attention to address it when it happens, because the wonderful thing about it is that it's so fleeting. I used to tell people that that one of the things that I knew about how God's blessings work is when you get an idea, sometimes it's like playing catch, right? This is the way I used to envision it. It's like an idea gets sent out into the universe, just thrown out there. And you can choose to put your hand up and catch it, right? Or if you don't catch it, then it just goes on by you. But what the wonderful thing about God is that God is not denied. So say, for instance, God throws an idea out there. If you don't catch it, it's not that it was your idea and nobody else will.
Right.
What will happen is you'll see somebody else that caught that idea and then was able to do something with it. And then people come talking about, well, they stole my design. They stole, that was my idea. Well, no, it wasn't your idea, right? That was a God idea that was thrown into the universe for somebody to do something with it. And if you took the ball and ran with it, great for you. But if you didn't, oh my gosh, next person. Next.
Right.
Because that's the way it just happens. So things are meant, it is the ideas come and they are meant to take form. They are meant to have something happen with them. And they're not person dependent, because it's not personal. It is a blessing to all of society. And so you got to be in the mindset.
In the now.
Yes, you got to be in that mindset. And then now that I got this, let me take it and run. Right. So when Jesus was like saying, let the dead bury the dead, he's like, dude,
we got work to do.
Yeah.
We got work to do, people.
No, I'm not waiting on you. We in motion. Catch up. So I think that in part we have to recognize that is the way that it happens.
And something
Um,
that you just read that I was gonna talk about catching something.
okay.
So that is the assignment of the spirit, is to bring us awareness of this moment. And I don't know, I wasn't following you in the reading, but when you said it, I said that is so good, because spirit's intention is to keep us in this now moment.
Mm-hmm.
And so gratitude for the now moment opens up revelation, and of course asking, what is it that you want me to know in this moment right here? What's for me?
Right, right.
Um, but
Mm-hmm.
that is the intention of the spirit,
Mm-hmm.
the intention of it. And so we go back to resistance. When we're not in that, we are in a resistance. We could be in
Mm-hmm.
resistance probably and not even recognize it, because the intention of the spirit is to always bring us into this present moment where higher self is. That was really cool. I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm gonna read over it again so I can highlight that, because I didn't obviously catch that in my reading because it's not highlighted. But when you said it, I was just like, yeah, that makes so much
Mm-hmm.
sense. I don't have to make this
Yeah.
so hard.
Right. And it's so interesting because sometimes I will say that sometimes we think we know better too, right? Say for
Mm-hmm.
instance, you get an impression, like I get an impression, and then I think, yeah, no, that's not the way I'm gonna do it. Right. I'm gonna do it my way. And so the moment that you get the impression is the moment for activation, not when you think it's right, right?
Right.
And so that's one of the things that I try to do is I try to recognize um that it is to live in this present moment and to receive the spiritual guidance in the now,
Mm-hmm.
right? In the now, not to activate tomorrow or to put on reserve or stick it in the freezer until I'm ready for it, but to activate it now. So that guidance will make no sense to us if you focus only on unraveling the mysteries of yesterday,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes we want to spend time ruminating about what has already happened.
Mm-hmm.
You have no ability to affect the past.
Right. Yeah.
Zero, right? I will tell you there have been times when I wanted to do a rewind.
Do over. Yeah.
Yes, just like they did in what is that play called? Hamilton, right? They did
Mm.
a rewind. And going through that rewind, it's like, wow, we're gonna show you what happened. But life, if you get stuck in rewind,
Yeah.
you gonna miss something.
Mm-hmm.
As a matter of fact, if you just keep moving forward. And that's one of the things that I used to tell people when I first started speaking. People would tell me about like how I got up and I talked in front of people, and it seems like you're so comfortable, blah blah blah. And I told them what I used to say to people is I have this image that when I get up in front of an audience, usually what I was doing, this was back then, what I was doing was I was falling forward.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
I
kind of
remember you
like that.
saying something
Yeah,
like that.
it was
Mm-hmm.
kind of like that. It's like I would feel like I was stumbling forward, and if I just keep moving forward, eventually my feet would come up under me. Because in my falling forward, that means I don't necessarily know what I'm going to say, what I'm saying, but eventually I get my footing.
Mm-hmm.
The point is not to stop. I love that record. I forget who. Oh, maybe it was the Temptations who said he. Oh no. I guess a part of it is I was saying that, but he says it's something like when you're going through hell, don't stop. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the record that I was thinking about was I went through hell without getting hot. I went to Vietnam without getting shot. I could do the gigolo without touching the floor. I don't know how it goes, but it was that kind of thing. But yeah, if you're going through
The
hell,
rap
don't
game.
stop. Just keep moving. And that becomes part of what we are here to do. So if we live fully in the present moment, the mysteries of yesterday will gradually be unraveled for us. So we learn what it was all about in the sweet by and by if we learn how to stay in the moment and pay attention. People are not meant to live forever. That is not what these bodies of ours do.
Right.
So while you have people present with you, be present. Get the fullness out of that relationship. And then when it's over, you can just bless it and let it go.
Yeah.
Not constantly just turning back and doing a rewind, because you can't live in rewind. That sets you up for dis-ease.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So she says in this book that our spirits are drawn instinctively to this sacred truth. From it, we can receive inspiration that life lifts us into ecstasy. That's big, right? That's big, that's big, that's big, that's big, that's big. Life lifts us. And a lot of times we won't let life lift us into ecstasy because we got so many anchors that is holding us down, right? And we allow them to hold us down. As a matter of fact, we can't even get to the place where we're lifted up because there's a need sometimes to deny, like, oh, I can't move forward or something like that. You are meant to move forward.
Well, the fear is, remember, is that we are what is it? What, tell me the statement? I got it right here.
Which one?
That we are more powerful beyond measure.
Yes.
And so understanding that we have to, in order to be that powerful, you have to be light. You can't be heavy and weighted down from yesterday.
Right.
You have to be open and airy so that you can be out, so you just kind of float into the yesness that is your bigness, that is your life.
Mm-hmm. That brings up some stuff for me because we are not afraid of our darkness because we've been there. We're afraid of our own light. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes what we've got to do is,
what would it be like?
Yeah.
Sorry, I just get excited.
But so I will say this. I remember, I'm gonna tell y'all about this because I can. When I was a kid, I got a good whooping. Because that I got a little picture of myself right here on this shelf. Mm-hmm. And when my mother used to comb my hair, she would put my hair in the little things and she would give me a bang. You know how you do a bang. And she would have to roll the bang up and sometimes put a clip in there, so a barrette up there. Yeah. So that it wouldn't hang down in my face. So all the other little girls at school had these bangs that would just come to right here. It was, they had shorter hair. And so their bang would never be all of this curl that was hanging down in their face. It would just be a thing right here. And so I wanted to be like everybody else. So I took the scissors and I cut my bang. So when I go in there, my mother says, Sandy, who cut your hair? Sandy, who cut your hair? I don't know. she looks around and she, because she was like, Sandy, I'm gonna ask you one more time. Who cut your hair? And I said, the boogeyman. The boogeyman. So part of her thing was, I'm not whooping you because you cut your hair.
I'm whooping you because you lied.
That's what she said. I'm whooping you because you lied. And she had to still get in a flurry. And my mother would hold your arm. It wasn't like you could run. You just like, doing the little dance, like trying to. I was like thinking to myself, like, why are you gonna ask me if you don't want to know? The boogeyman, girl, woo. I used to get some good whoopings. but it was me not wanting to outshine in my thing. It felt like when I don't actually even think I thought my hair was better, because it wasn't. My hair was just different. Mm-hmm. And so I wanted my hair to be the same, like everybody else's. I wanted to have a short bang that I had to, you could put some gel on and just kind of smother it down. I just wanted to be the same. I didn't have the notion that it was better. I had the notion that it was different. Mm-hmm. And so that was what I was trying to fight against. And a lot of times what we do is that we resist. I'm gonna speak for me. I resisted doing a lot of stuff because I had the perception that I did not want to be different. Mm-hmm. And it took me a long time before I got that, child, you just different, right? And so now I can celebrate that difference and not feel as if that difference is, not judge the difference.
Right, that something went wrong.
Yes, just say that it's mine. It's me, right? So I'm not putting a hierarchy on it anywhere. This is just me. Mm-hmm. And so when I'm talking about letting my light shine and I'm accepting me, whatever another person's light is, however it is that they shine, if you sing, if you can dance, do you. It just shine.
Whatever that means. Yeah.
Yes, we're all meant to shine our light, right? And so it becomes that. And so when we are in the present moment, it's accepting what it is that is ours to do right there in that moment. And an idea may come into a circle of people. It could come into the midst of a meeting. And if it lands on you, that's not for you to, because I used to do that. I would write down the answer and give it to somebody else. Here, say this, right?
I can't believe that.
Oh, girl, I did. Say that. And then the teacher will tell them, come to the board and show me how you got that. And they looking over their shoulder like, you better tell me. Oh my God. But yes. So it's to shine our own light.
Yeah.
Do what it is that is yours to do.
Yeah. I think it's interesting that we shrink. I don't know what that is. I don't know where that message comes from. And yeah, I know, people say ego, whatever. And ego is the edging God out. That's not staying in the present moment and taking over my own life. But it starts so young. Yeah. The disowning of self.
Yeah, because there's a judgment that's there, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And we've seen what it's like to be singled out as different or special, or to feel as if we are less than.
I think about the Lion King. You've seen that?
I have, but yeah, go ahead, tell me
So
what.
Simba was up next up for the throne. He had an uncle Scar who was very jealous of him, and so he created a perception for Simba to think that he was the cause of his father's death, so that he could now have the throne.
Mm,
But there was always this mighty king inside of this little cub, and so they show that part of the little king inside. Like I was sharing with you how I get this vision of the the oak tree inside of an acorn. It is always, I should draw that picture. Maybe that should be an icon. But I always have that picture in my mind to remember that it starts somewhere. But Simba was then he ran away because he thought he had caused his father's death. And of course, his uncle helped perpetuate that belief system. But on the inside, he was a king.
mm-hmm,
He
mm-hmm.
was a king, but he couldn't shine. He couldn't
Right.
shine. He was ashamed. He was embarrassed. So then he went and hung out with his two new friends and just became, that something in the jungle as opposed to the king of the jungle.
Right.
And so I'd like to think a lot of times we capitulate and decide, oh, I'm just gonna be, instead of being a big fish in a small pond, I'm just gonna be a fish in the pond.
Mm-hmm.
When
Mm-hmm.
you know that you are a light, there's
Yeah.
something that's inside of you that wants to rise up, rise up, rise up, and you're trying to keep it down, because technically, as Simba got older, he could have eaten his two friends. That he would hunt them, and when they met, they had to have an agreement that no matter what, you're not going to eat me.
Right, 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 right. Uh-huh.
So
Yeah.
it's just interesting that we are so programmed, whatever circumstances, somehow that our lights are just not fit for this planet. It's not fit for this world. We need to save it for another time, or it's for only special people and not for me. My light is too big. It's too bright. That's always been my narrative, and I've always have said I'm too much. I don't want to be too much. I don't want to be too much. Don't want to be too much. I don't want to
Yeah.
be too much, and
Uh-huh.
that ain't my story today, but it has been for a very long time, and I go in and out of that experience of not wanting to be too much. But now I understand that there just ain't another Stephanie, so I just might as well be me,
Right,
and
right.
see what that looks like, see what the end is going to be. But
Yeah.
I'm just curious as to how we get there. How do we get to that place where we're not in this moment? And this moment can be scary because this moment will cause us to rise up. This moment will call us to
Yeah.
rise up. This moment, it just does. You get all these ideas. You get,
Mhm.
it just, yeah.
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
Ram Dass has a clock in this documentary that I watched, that every hour, instead of there being numbers on it, it
Mhm.
just says now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, I want one of those everywhere.
Yeah. 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 Now.
Now.
You know, and that reminds me, because I used to talk about I used to do a talk all the time about how they started making motion pictures. And motion pictures was just those little freeze moment, those frames. And then as you kind of, you know how you take it and you fan across a page, and it seems like just the small shifts in movement
Mm-hmm.
become the overall thing. But each one was a moment unto itself, an action unto itself.
Right.
And I think that is basically how we live our lives. I'm coming fully to this moment, right? Not worrying about, what's going to happen next, what's going to, all of that other stuff. Let me just be full right here, right
Right
now.
now. And what
Um,
does that mean? I'm going to use Michael Beck was saying, like, who must I be to be in that? Like,
Right.
what needs to happen for me to
Right.
be fully present now?
Right. Well, so if I'm thinking that way, though, if I'm thinking, who do I need to be?
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm not being.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting caught up in the should, and as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to
Well, I'm probably
simply
saying it
showing
in
it up.
not
Yeah.
saying it correctly, but the moment
Right.
is, how can I stand in this moment fully myself? Because you have
Right.
to change your mind. There has to be a shift in your
Mm-hmm.
perception in
Mm-hmm.
order to do that. If you're lingering in the past and anxious about tomorrow, there has to be an intentional shift for that to
Right.
become your new idea or belief
Right.
that you
Right.
hold, you know?
And sometimes and sometimes, Stephanie, it is, I have taught myself through whatever it is, reading books. There is a thing about the power of breath, through reading books. Like, I can't breathe in yesterday's air, I can't breathe in tomorrow's air, but the moment I catch my breath, I know I'm in this present moment. I'm in the now. And that helps to center me
That's
where
good.
I am,
Mm-hmm.
and so, I have brought myself out of some moments of self-loathing, or how did I do this and how did I get here, all of that stuff, by just simply recognizing that this is what I have. I can't commit over what I did last week or last year or 10 years ago. I can't sit up and talk about how good, we look back at somebody. Who was that? I was talking to the other day, and she was saying, oh, I hadn't looked in the mirror. I could see myself aging. All now, I just be like, now, this is what I have. I can't worry about what I look like, 5, 10 years ago. I can't worry about that. This is where I am now. And let me make the best of that I can. I need to buy some new panties. But let me do the best that I can where I am right here and right now. I hate baggy panties. I was just looking. I was like, I don't
Does
like
that remind you of aging?
No, it reminds me of, we've been, like since we've been doing our workouts, you
Oh,
know how your
yeah.
body shifts
Yeah.
and your body changes. And I was like, my panties are baggy. I can't stand baggy panties. But yeah, so I don't know why I got on that, but yes, that was like, okay, I just thought about that this morning, like, oh, this is irritating to me. Baggy panties. They take away from the aesthetics. Anyway, so anyway, so let me let's finish this out right quick. So if we live fully in the present moment, the mysteries of yesterday will gradually be unraveled for us. So our spirits are drawn instinctively to this sacred truth. And from it, we can receive inspiration that lifts us into ecstasy. I already read that. So the
It
need
bears repeating.
yeah, to live in the need to live in the present moment is supposed to be a sacred sacrament of extreme unction, right?
Yeah, yeah,
The
yeah.
sacrament was created to help people release their spirit prior to death. Symbolically, it says the sacrament recognizes our need to call back our spirits to finish our unfinished business at various points in our life. So what unfinished business do we have, right? So for many of us, like what's the unfinished business of your life? Like if we were to find out that the end is near, what would be the unfinished business? Who have you not said I love you to? Or what thing would you hate to have not completed? What would you hate to have not done? And so that's one of the reasons why you learn how to tell people that you appreciate them in the moment. It's one of the reasons why, you know, we see people, we show up fully, not sitting up there thinking, oh, I can't say that, or I can't share that, or can't be in that space, but to show up fully. Because for me, I don't, you know, I don't carry around regrets in that way. Yeah, there are some things that, you know, ooh, you know, are you gonna let go of that? Are you gonna hold on to that? You know, whatever that may mean. And so to figure out how to do that, how to finish up at various points in our life, whatever that may mean. And sometimes it's a daily thing.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's a daily at the end
Moment by
of your
moment.
day. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Reconciling what it is, ways that you may not have shown up in your best light in the present moment.
That's
So,
recovery. It's interesting that it's recovery. That's the
okay.
recovery process. It's recovering from the forgetting of who you are.
Mm,
It's
yeah.
it's the recovery process because so much damage is done. We are all addicts in our own way, the mindset of the addict in our own way. And so that recovering is going back and just, you know, saying, okay, I did that, that happened. It's all good. Because moving forward is going to be nothing like yesterday, nothing. And I'm going to see to it. I'm going to be about the business of that. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's like a recovering and reconciling, um, reconciling that and bringing it all back together because it's a benefit. Yesterday has its purpose and its benefit, but it's not it.
Right.
Tomorrow, you know, this moment is preparing me for tomorrow so I don't have yesterday's experiences.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't have to have those. And that's that recovery process of just giving yourself some grace because anything else is an illusion anyway.
Yeah. You know, I was reading a book by Eula Biss, and I think it was, her book was called Having and Being Had. And she talked about a
Mm,
lot of women out of the past. She talked about men and women, but a lot of women in particular out of the past. And she was telling a story about, I think it was Georgia O'Keeffe, who took a job, say for instance, in somebody's house. Is it Georgia O'Keeffe or who was it? Anyway, this woman took a job in somebody else's house. And part of the negotiation that she made was is that she needed to have her own room, and she needed to have a lock on the door, and she needed to make a certain amount of money per week. And to which this person who hired her couldn't, you know, they didn't understand, but they respected that, and they gave her what she asked for anyway. There was some kind of contention between it. But the way that I remember the story going, and I don't know exactly if this was Georgia O'Keeffe or not, but the way that the story went was is that the woman ended up dying. And then after she was dead, because she hadn't, I don't want to say it like this, but because she hadn't taken proper care of her business, this locked room that she lived in, when the woman, after she died and the woman went to clean out the room, she found all of this amazing photography work that this woman had done. And then it became her property because it was in her home by an employee that worked for her. So she was able to then publish and keep whatever royalties it came out of that, because there hadn't been provisions made for what would happen with this particular work. And so when you think about this idea of, you know, bringing closure or figuring out you know, what you're doing with the stuff of your life, it becomes necessary for you to make decisions and to do the task at hand. I guess maybe that's something speaking to me, but do the task, take the care at hand, so that that your life becomes or ends up the way you want it to become, and not happen by accident. And that's kind of what happens when we leave things undone, unsaid, unspoken, all of that stuff. Those things, those loose ends that we don't tie up, sometimes it becomes the result of our inaction as opposed to our intentional actions. So and even sometimes when you call yourself doing or setting things up in a particular way, it does not necessarily mean that the people who you who are the executors on whatever it is will respect nor do with what
Right.
you have asked them to do with your stuff, you know.
Right.
Just things just kind of happen that way. So so let me move on off of that, right? So in order not to carry the dead with us, the power and symbolism of the sacrament is therefore not limited merely to the end of life.
Right.
Biologically and spiritually, we need to bring all things to closure. And we can call on this sacramental energy to help us do so. So I tell people all the time, people ask me about, I've written several books. Have I published them? Have I
Right.
done anything with them? No, they over there sitting in a pile somewhere. It becomes this thing of just bringing things to closure, which is what this year I will do, is I will bring that to closure and to fruition. I'm going to make real that thing that has been in my spirit for so long. So after a painful or traumatic experience, we always receive internal guidance that can help us release the past and move on with our lives.
Yes.
Woo.
I'm a witness.
Yeah, and sometimes we don't even recognize it at the moment as a traumatic experience, right? But if it is something that, yeah, that takes us out of, you know, our normal stuff, whatever it is, it could be something that then starts to,
It opens us up. The press, the diamond comes from the press. The coal comes from the press. Like the oyster, I mean, the pearl comes from the press. The being in the place with the sandpaper or whatever you want to call it, it's the sand. But it's in the press that the goodness is coming out of. But if we don't look at the press and we stay in the past, and you know, why me even says the past. It says, yeah, there's so much more that comes after that. Why me? So it's important for us to stay in the moment, but even in the press and the pain, being curious and nosy about, what is this all for? Who is this all for? What am I supposed to do with this? I had my mother constantly telling me that, yeah, this is so that you can be the amazing therapist that you are. I'm like, yeah, well, he can keep that. But it makes sense when I do my work now. But in the midst of it, things don't seem like so wonderful and great. But the reality is that in every experience that feels or is noted as some life gone bad or gone wrong, there is a resurrection. There's a purpose in it. There's a beauty in it for something else to blossom out of it.
Right.
But we have to stay aware or present, because like you said, if we can't catch it, then it goes, past us, and we have to have more experiences and more experiences.
Right. And so, and it's so interesting because sometimes we can see it so clearly when it's somebody else, but when it's us, we have real issues with seeing that. And so, because we're right, of course, right? And so, I am so blessed. I am so blessed to have siblings in my life. And they actually serve as mirrors for me,
That's
because
it. If you let them.
yeah, even in even in those moments where stuff happens, it is them that can kind of circle back and see the trajectory of where I have been, where I am, where I'm trying to be, where I'm going, and then be able to speak to that, not because they want to make me feel good, but
Right.
because that's what they show up for as in my life, like these truth serum mirrors, just just good, just good. So I am appreciative of that. So when we choose to keep the past more alive than the present, we interfere with the flow of life force. Let me repeat that. When we choose to keep the past more alive than the present, we interfere with the flow of life force.
Wow.
I almost want to repeat that a third time. When we choose to keep the past more alive than the present, we interfere with the flow of life. That's enough. So we distort the present because we begin to view everything happening today through the past, and thereby weakening our bodies and our spirit. So even when we do that, when we view everything through the past, like, I'm not going to apply for this job because I did that before. I'm not going to subject myself to approaching that woman. I tried that before. I'm sick of being rejected. I'm sick of and tired of people telling me no. Or, that's like my girlfriend gonna call me up talking about she couldn't be in a relationship with a guy who would tell her no. I ain't gonna be in a relationship with one who won't tell me no from time to time. I don't want no pussy. I want somebody that's actually gonna give me some pushback.
Right.
I don't need yes people in my life. I need real people in my life. And I'm not gonna be that for anybody else. So
And there's somebody for everybody, because even in your yes, you're gonna come to the place where you get the no, because that's just a part of life, and there's somebody who needs to be, there's just somebody for everybody, but the reality is that there's somebody for everybody.
Yes.
And
I'd rather it be a person who loves me be that brick wall than a stranger, because you will run into one. You will run into one. Like, yeah, here and no further. Yes, girl, tell me. So anyway, so we distort the present because we begin to view everything happening today through the past, thereby weakening our bodies and our spirit. And we become diseased by carrying the dead with us for too long. We become diseased by carrying the dead with us for too long. So, and then the Saphira of Katir, symbolic of the connection of the world of the infinite, we receive the knowledge that there is no death. There is only life.
There is only life.
No one has gone before us whom we will not meet again one day. And that doesn't necessarily mean in the body that they are in, but you will encounter the essence of who they are, that spirit of who they are again. That is a divine promise. So we are meant to rest in that comfort and the power of that sacred truth. I often talk about how I was trying to hold my mother to being who she was in this lifetime as I knew her. And it's like, no, sweetie, people don't stay static. Like you hang them up on a hanger in a closet and they just become that forever. No, no, no. Even if you hang a dress up in a closet for too long, life will happen to it too. It will change. It'll go out of style. It will begin to break down and decay. It moths will eat it, and all kind of stuff happens, and life will happen. Nothing stays static or the same. None
Everything
of
has
us should.
changed.
Yes, yes, yes. So you guys, we are meant to have these truths, to learn them, to know them, to live them, and to then move on. So when we come back in here tomorrow, we'll probably wrap all of this up and then begin on the section 2 of this book.
Breakdown.
Yes, of all of this stuff. And so I'm so excited about that. So Stephanie, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Yes, much appreciation. Enjoy this day. I am taking myself on a field trip. After work, I'm going to the lake. There's a willow tree out there. I got my little chair in the car. I packed my little bag this morning, and I'm going to write.
Which lake you going to?
Lake Edge. Is it Lake Edgewater? Off of Route 2.
You going okay on that side?
Yeah, I love
Lake Erie, but it's but that's Edgewater.
It's near the beach. Yeah, it's where I take my granddaughter. My children.
Picture under that tree.
Do you?
I do.
Yeah, that's my favorite little tree. And so I'm going there to do some writing, and then I'm gonna go visit my boys, and their families live in Lakewood, and so I'm gonna go hang out with them. But I'm just gonna go over there, and I'm super excited about it. Just sitting there and getting whatever I'm supposed to get there. And that was from being in the now. Just decided, yeah, okay, I'll accept that idea, and I'm gonna go over there and just hang out.
Last time I went over there, I ran into my friend Cherie over there, and she was just over there, and she was like, as I was approaching, she was kind of staring at me, like, or was she? Maybe I was staring at her, and she was off in La La Land. And then when I got up on her, she looked at me like, hey, I know you. Like, we actually sat there and talked for a couple of hours. Just beautiful.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. It's just one of those things, the impulsive things that I just kind of want to do. My father's home, and I was staring at him like, in case I never see you again. It was just like something was snatched from me and it was brought back. And so I was just like in the video, like, somebody said, are you frozen? I'm like, no, I'm just looking. I'm like, just trying to take it all in.
Every line and every pore.
And so it really has caused me to just do something different. And so I'm excited about my little field trip today. So
well, I'm prayerful around you in that entire situation, and knowing that it's working out for your highest.
It absolutely is. I can feel it in my bones.
Yes, thank you. I'm so thankful. All right.
Well, enjoy your day.
Too, darling.
All righty.
Everybody
who is kale hunting.
Thank you so much. Yes. May your path be blessed and filled with light.
Yes. Yes. Right. Have a good one. Thanks, Sandra.
Bye-bye.
Bye.